you took last week, and I hope whenever you see your scores online that you're very proud of yourself, and that as you look at your score, you're just as happy as the score that you got, and that you know that, okay, maybe it's not quite the score that you wanted, but it's still a good score. Maybe you're happy with it. And then whenever you look at it, hopefully whenever you're looking at it, make sure you think of, okay, what are some questions I could come back and ask Ms. Morris whenever we come back to school, so that way you can learn and as you can benefit from it. Because remember, this is not the only quarter exam. You'll have to take one again later on in Christmas time. So because of that, so you want to look at the score and think, okay, that's a good score, but then also, how can I learn from it, or how can I benefit from it? So that way you can be constantly learning and constantly growing, and don't just forget everything that we learned in the previous section. So as you know, for chapter 4, if you want to go ahead and look over on page 116, you'll want to notice that, okay, we're getting into a new section, but we're also talking about the human body still. So in order to get started, since you didn't have any homework on Friday, I'm going to give you some classwork. So your classwork, to help you kind of get started and help kind of get back into it and start thinking about it, is you want to read pages 116 up to pages 120. You don't have to read the whole page 120, so once you get there, it's fine. So read pages 116 up to page 120. Answer on page 125, questions 1 through 5. So answer on page 125, questions 1 through 5. Alright, so go ahead and pause the video and go ahead and do that. And then remember, it's going to take you about 5 to 10 minutes. You don't spend forever on it. About 5 minutes, and then once you do that, come back and then unpause the video, and then we'll finish from there. Alright, assuming that you're back with me now. So on page 125, you had questions 1 through 5. Alright, so what group of nutrients include starch? So if you wanted to be super specific, you could have said polysaccharides, but if you just said carbohydrates, that's fine, that's well. So carbohydrates is the main answer. If you want to get super specific though, polysaccharides also work. Alright, what are the building blocks of proteins? That's amino acids. Number 3, which type of fat typically comes from plant products? That is unsaturated fat. And then number 4, list 3 things that vitamin A does for your body. Remember, this is vitamin A. So vitamin A promotes normal growth, is good eyesight, and healthy skin. So make note of those 3 things. Number 5, which vitamin is found in the citrus fruits like oranges help your immune system? That is vitamin C. Alright, you can go ahead and put that away and take out your textbook again and flip back to page 116, talking about chapter 4 now, a healthy lifestyle or a healthy life. Now again, we've already talked about several different parts of biology in life science. Remember, we've already talked about botany. Botany is what? Study of plants. We've already talked about human anatomy and physiology. Now remember, what is human anatomy? What is that? What's anatomy mean? Remember, it's like the parts or the structure. And then what does physiology mean? The function, or what does it do? Your book's kind of shifting over now, saying, okay, instead of just studying just human anatomy and physiology, how do you keep your body working correctly? Instead of just looking at just the parts and how they work, alright, what is something you can do to try to make it work the best that it can? That's the reason why, even though the exam's over, you don't want to just forget everything previously. It still applies, and you still want to hang on to it. So don't just think, oh, exam's over, I don't have to worry about it anymore. No, still keep on for it. Still make sure that you're learning from it. Not to mention just for the exam coming up at Christmas, but also for now, because it still applies. Alright, so a healthy life is what this chapter is focusing on. So how do you have a healthy life? There's a bunch of different parts to it. Your book's pointing out the major one for the idea of like your physical health, but there's other things as well, because your physical health determines a couple of other things, like fitness, your medicine, weight, clean, energy, success. So there's other things like that to be involved with it. Now, a lot of cases, you have to decide how you're going to live and what you're going to eat as you get older. So right now, a healthy life, what food you eat, how much physical fitness you do, a lot of that is determined by your parents, or if you go, or because you go here, you have a PE class. That helps you to build up your physical fitness, so you'll develop some healthy habits. But a lot of these decisions are right now, your parents make them for you. As you get older though, you have to decide, are you still going to exercise? Are you still going to take your vitamins? Are you still going to eat all of your fruits and vegetables like you're supposed to? So as you get older, you have to make those important decisions. So that's how come the very first thing your book points out, page 116 with the italicized phrase, is it is your responsibility to keep your body working correctly. Right now, your parents probably pack your lunch or tell you what to eat, Your mom, before she left this morning, she probably told you, here's lunch, here's how you reheat your lunch in the microwave, or here's what you eat for lunch. So that way, she knows that you're getting a lot of nutrients, even though she might be at work or she might be doing something else today. That's the same idea as your parents are worried and want to make sure you get all the proper nutrients. As you get older though, the older you get, your parents might not tell you as much because they assume that you know what you're supposed to do and they expect you to do it. So that's what it means. It says it is your responsibility to keep your body working correctly. God gave you the information in your DNA for your body to work a certain way and for it to work correctly. Occasionally you might have a sickness like asthma or something like that to where sometimes it doesn't work quite perfectly, but that's okay because of sin nature. We have things that happen like that because of the fall of Adam. But overall, your body is designed to work and to work every single day. Now, you have to decide, okay, should I keep it in a good working, proper order, or am I not going to take care of it? So, that's what it means to talk about. It is your responsibility to keep your body working correctly. It's up to you, as you get older, how you're going to eat, what you're going to exercise, and so that you can build up your body and keep it strong and healthy. Alright, so digesting the best. So your book points out the very first thing as we get into it is putting nutrients or putting food inside of your body. So remember, which system breaks down nutrients and absorbs them into your bloodstream? Right, that's the digestive system. So again, from the previous chapter going into this chapter, so the digestive system breaks down nutrients and absorbs it into your bloodstream, and then your heart and blood pumps it all throughout your body to bring all those nutrients to all your cells. Remember, your blood and your heart is part of what system? Cardiovascular. Perfect. Now remember, your body needs nutrients because it needs to carry on those daily life activities. What do we call the sum of all life's daily activities? Right, metabolism. So just make sure that you remember the terms we talked about, they still apply. So your book points out the nutrients includes carbohydrates, proteins, fats, vitamins, minerals are transported and transported throughout your body, and your body needs all of them. Alright, so the first one your book points out is carbohydrates. So do make a note of how to pronounce it. Most of you probably already know how, but carbohydrates. These include sugars and starch. Those are the two major ones. So sugars and starch, this is the source of energy for the body. Now, thinking of carbohydrates, when you think of a carbohydrate, I gave you a picture of some of them. Now remember, this is the first type of carbohydrate. What would be an example of this first type? Right, you could have said fruits like strawberries, apples. You could have said just regular sugar. You could have said candy bars. All those are examples of this first type of carbohydrate, or sugars. To make a note though, sugars that you eat include glucose, fructose, lactose, sucrose. So you don't have to know all the different sugars, but just make a note though that, okay, that these are the simple sugars. You don't have to know where they come from. So just make a note though, fructose, that's fruit and vegetable sugar. So that's the ones like whenever you're eating strawberries, how they have a sweet taste. That's fructose. Lactose is milk sugar. That's what some people, they are allergic to, where they can't digest very well. So if you're lactose intolerant, that's typically what it's referring to. So lactose or milk sugar. Sucrose, that's just regular table sugar, like your mom might put sugar in cakes or pies, or she might put them on brownies. That's the idea of just regular table sugar. That's the idea of sucrose. And then glucose, of course, that's the sugar that plants make. So those are the 4 different types of sugars. Just make a note for them. You don't have to know necessarily where they come from. Just make a note those are the 4 different types of sugars. These are called simple carbohydrates because they're made of 1 or 2 sugar molecules hooked up together. So 1 or 2 sugar molecules just hooked together. So we call them simple because they're not very big. Make a note, carbohydrate, source of energy, simple sugar, or simple carbohydrates because they're made of just 1 or 2 glucose chains hooked up together. Glucose molecules technically. A polysaccharide or starch, this one, it has longer chains of glucose molecules hooked up together. So make a note of that. Starch is called a polysaccharide. Poly, remember, means many. So polysaccharide, it has many glucose molecules hooked together in a long chain. So remember, we talked about previously how plants, they'll take glucose and they'll store it as starch in their systems, typically around their roots or in their stems, so that way they can store up that glucose. So that's how come starch is a little bit different, because plants have taken it and they've hooked it together a little bit differently, so they can store it up. So make a note, carbohydrates, polysaccharides, that's what this one is called. So make a note, sugars are simple carbohydrates, Polysaccharides, this is an example of a starch because it's a lot of sugar. It's hooked up together in a long chain. Alright, your book points out glucose is used by the body to create usable energy. Starch, this should be the majority of your carbohydrates. So, now your book points out that you should eat about 2/3 of each meal should be carbohydrates. So things like bread, pasta, rice, things like that are made from wheat or like grain products, those are typically the better sources of carbohydrates as opposed to just sugar. So just so you know, better carbohydrates, starches, they should be 2/3 of your diet. Your book points out some of the carbohydrate-rich foods include fruits, vegetables, breads, cereals, rice, nuts, peas, beans, and so there's a bunch of different ways. Now typically whenever we think of carbohydrates, we think of bread, pasta, and rice. There's other ones, but those are probably the three major ones. That's one of the reasons why your mom might have left you a sandwich to eat for lunch, because 2 slices of whole wheat bread are really good for you. Now if you eat white bread, that's also good, but maybe that's one reason why she told you to eat this for lunch, is because it has those good sugars or those good carbohydrates. You don't want to eat just candy all the time, because remember, your body needs a lot of nutrients. Now, breads and rice and other food and other starchy foods, they have other nutrients on the inside. If you're eating just candy or just sugar, you're giving your body energy, but that's it. It's not getting any of the other nutrients that it needs. So that's part of the reason as to how come you don't want to eat just sugar. Also, thinking about it, answer this at home or in your head. How many of you have gotten a sugar rush before? Alright, what happened once the sugar rush was over? Typically you crashed or you got really, really tired because your body used all that energy really quick, because it's a simple sugar. Your body can break it down very quickly. And so because of that, it gives you a lot of energy really fast. But then your body burnt through it real too quick, and then your body got really, really tired. If it's a glucose chain, a polysaccharide, it takes longer for your body to break it apart, so that your body has energy longer, and then eventually it'll start to wear out, and it'll eventually need more energy again. But if you just eat just simple sugar or just sugar, your body burns through it too quick. That's why polysaccharides or starch, this type of carbohydrate, is better for you, because it'll give you energy throughout the whole day, not just a sugar rush. So make a note for that. So starches and sugars are the 2 main types of carbohydrates. Sugar gives you energy, but it's short, fast bursts. Carbohydrates gives you, the starch one gives you a better one throughout the whole day. Alright, so make a note of sugars and starches as types of carbohydrates. Alright, the next major group that your book talks about is protein. Whoops, I skipped fiber. Sorry, fiber. This is also a polysaccharide similar to starch, but this one, your body is not designed to break this one down. So fiber cannot be broken down by our bodies into sugars. Now, we still need this one, so don't think, oh, it's useless. No, your body still needs it. So it's a polysaccharide. It can't be digested, but it cleans out your intestines. Kind of how, like, think of it this way. Now remember, what do we call those things like projections on the inside of your small intestine that absorb nutrients? Villi. So fiber goes through, it acts kind of like a bristle brush to go through and clean out all of those finger-like projections. Because sometimes you can have food or other stuff get stuck in between them. And so this acts kind of like a bristle brush or a wash to help clean it and to help flush it out. So that way it's supposed to be that way, so that way it can help clean out your intestines. So your book points out that it helps you not catch certain diseases like colon cancer or large intestine cancer. So it helps you to clean out your intestines in particular. So even though fiber, you can't digest it or you can't absorb it into your bloodstream and be used as a nutrient, it's still super important because it helps your body to stay healthy and clean on the inside. So, cleans out intestines. You want to eat some every single day. So even though you don't really need it to absorb it into your bloodstream as a nutrient, you do need it to help clean out your intestine. Now, thinking about it, where do we get fiber from? Now, yeah, you might have looked at some of my pictures and realized, okay, you can get fiber from some things. Now, keep in mind, a lot of cases you eat these fruits and vegetables because of other nutrients, but it's nice that they also have fiber on the inside of them. So, your book points out, sources of fiber include raw vegetables and fruits, including the skins or the outside. Now, it's fall, so you might be eating a lot of apples now just because it's that time of year. Now, the sugary part is on the inside of the apple, the white fleshy part. The skin on the outside has a lot of fiber, so don't just cut off the skin just because you think, it's kind of gross and I don't really like it. It's good for you, so still eat it. Eating the skin of the apple is an example of getting fiber, so it'll help out your insides if you eat that. I know it's not as sweet as the rest of the apple, but you still want to eat it. Alright, so again, whole grain breads, fruits with seeds like figs and berries, nuts, popcorn. Now, nuts and popcorn also have a lot of other good things, so that's one reason why you want to look at the food to realize, okay, does it have a lot of the nutrients that I need, or is it giving me just a little bit? So some of them are better for you because not only do they have fiber, they might have other nutrients on the inside. Alright, so just making sure, fiber is a polysaccharide. You can't digest it or you can't absorb it into your bloodstream and use it as a nutrient, but it does clean out your intestines, so you do need to eat it, and you want to eat some a little bit every single day. Alright, now getting into protein. I almost skipped fiber. So, getting into protein now. These help build and repair your body's cells. Now, typically we think of protein with muscles, and that is important. They do help build up your muscles as well. But they're also used, to repair a lot of your body's cells in general. And some proteins also help build an enzyme. Enzymes, remember, these are substances that speed up certain body activities. So you do need protein because not only do they help out with your muscles, which is good, but they also help out with a lot of your other body cells and your enzymes as well. Now, thousands of proteins are made up of 20 different amino acids. You want to think of it like this. Alright, so whenever you're writing sentences and writing words in the English language, you're using our alphabet. Okay, how many letters are in the English alphabet? Hopefully you know this. 26. Perfect. So there's 26 letters in the English alphabet. So you can make a whole bunch of different words by combining those 26 different letters into different combinations, using different amounts of the letters, making a long word or making a short word. You can make a lot of different words, many different words. Same idea. There's thousands of proteins, but there's only 20 amino acids. So thinking how like there's only 26 letters in the English alphabet, but you can make a whole bunch of words. Same idea. There's only 20 amino acids, but you can make thousands of proteins from those 20 amino acids, combining them in different ways. Making a note of the amino acids, these are the building blocks of protein. So we build proteins from amino acids. So make a note for that. Each protein has a specific recipe over how to make it. So kind of how like different words are made up of different letters, and you have to put them in the right order. Same idea. A protein is made up of amino acids, but you have to put them in the right order if you want a specific protein. Your book points out that there are several things or several sources you can get protein from. Thinking through it now, you can cheat and look at my picture, but what are some things you can eat to get protein? Right, typically you think of meat or meat products whenever you're thinking of protein. So, just make a note for this. Your book points out good sources of protein include yogurt, eggs, poultry, lean meats, fish, beans, peas, nuts, and whole grains also supply protein in large amounts. Let's see. So your book points out as well, though, that you need a variety of protein sources because not every single type of meat product has every single type of amino acid that you need. Your body can make some of them, but not all of them. And so because of that, you have to eat some of the amino acids or eat the food product that has it on the inside. Now, think of it this way. If you're a vegetarian, what are you not supposed to eat? Yep, animals. So if you're a vegetarian, you're not supposed to eat cows or chickens or fish. So those are like the main three people think of as vegetarians. Other things, any type of living animal, those are the three main ones. So if they're not supposed to eat meat that way, how are they supposed to get their protein or their amino acids? Right, they get them from plant products, but you can't just eat the same plant product over and over and over again. You have to eat a variety of plant products. Alright, think of it if you're a vegan. If you're a vegan, what are you not supposed to eat? Animals and animal products. So not only will a vegan not eat an animal, so like chicken, fish, deer, cows, they don't want to eat animal products like milk or eggs either. So because of that, if you decide, if you're older, or maybe your family is vegetarian or vegan, to where you have to decide, okay, I don't want to eat an animal or animal products, but I have to get my amino acids. So you have to be smart and think of, okay, which plant products do I need to eat? because you can't just eat something like peanuts over and over and over and over and over again. Peanuts are good, peanuts are healthy for you, but peanuts don't have all the amino acids that you need. So because of that, you have to eat a variety of fruits and vegetables at that point, and beans. So let's look on the picture. It shows you not just animals and animal products, but it shows you plant products as well. So that way, if you decide, if you're older, that you want to be a vegan or a vegetarian, you're gonna have to be smart about it and do some research to figure out, okay, what can I eat and what should I eat to make sure I get all my amino acids. That way I don't hurt myself and I don't hurt my body just because I don't want to eat certain products. And that's okay. You can be a vegetarian or be a vegan. You just have to make sure that you're doing it properly because you don't want to hurt your body just because you're not eating something else. Alright, so just make a note though. So proteins are used to build and repair the body's cells. Are made up of amino acids. You get amino acids from a lot of animals and animal sources, but you can get it from plants as well. So just make a note though, this sources of protein include yogurt, eggs, poultry, lean meats, fish, beans, nuts, peas, and whole grains. So just making sure there's a lot of good sources for protein. Alright, so you want to eat some at every meal. So make a note of that as well because your body needs it. Now remember we said about 2/3 of your diet should be made up of carbohydrates. The last about 1/3 should be made up of protein. Now again, not all of it, and you want to make sure you're getting a lot of your vitamins and minerals as well. So because of that, you shouldn't just eat just bread and just meat. You want to make sure you're eating a combination of food. But your book's just pointing out, okay, you want to make sure though you're getting a lot of protein because your body needs it to fix your body cells on the inside. Alright, fat. Alright, now in America we get a lot of the unhealthy type of fat in our food. So not all types of fats are bad though. Your book points out that your body does need it, but in America we have to be a little bit careful because we have a lot of the bad type of fat already in our food. Alright, so to make note, fat is a type of nutrients called a lipid. So remember, a fat is a type of liquid. Lipid, not liquid, lipid. So just be careful for that. These transport vitamins throughout the bloodstream. They create an extra source of energy and they prevent dry skin. So they help out your skin to stay soft and flexible. So it's a type of lipid, it transports vitamins, is an extra source of energy, and it also helps out with your skin to keep it healthy as well. Now, there are 3 major types of fats that your book points out. Alright, the first one is unsaturated fat. This one comes from vegetable fat, and this one is better for you. Now, it doesn't mean you should just eat just vegetable oil and just eat fat. That's not good for you long term. But just point out that, okay, that this particular type of fat is better for you than the other type. So this is a type of vegetable fat, or oil, if you want to think of it that way. So if you have an unsaturated fat, it's going to be a liquid, typically at room temperature. So think of different types of oil with a different type of oil, like your mom might cook with. So yeah, so maybe vegetable oil or canola oil, olive oil, she might have coconut oil. So different oils that come from plant products, or olive oil. I skipped olive oil, it's probably the most obvious one. So if your mom cooks with different types of oils, those types of oils are better for you than other types of fats to cook in. So if you're cooking it with oil, that's typically the main one you associate with it. Now, again, you don't have to go out and on purpose eat fat, because in America, we already have a lot of fat cooked into our food. So because of that, you just have to be careful for it. But this is the better type of it. It's called unsaturated because a fat molecule, it has hydrogen atoms hooked onto it. You don't have to note this for quizzes and tests, I'm just telling you why. But it has it bonded in such a way to where the molecule could have more hydrogens hooked onto it. So it's not full, so it's unsaturated. There's still spots for the hydrogen to be hooked onto it if it needed to. So that's why this one is better for you though, because this one is unsaturated, doesn't have all of the hydrogen. So because of that, your body can use it a little bit easier, a little bit better. Alright, so your book points out the body manufactures most of the fats and that your body already needs, but you do need some of them in small amounts. So in America, you already eat foods that either already have unsaturated fats or it's already been cooked in unsaturated fats, like olive oil. So you don't have to on purpose go out and eat it. So your book points out some foods already have the unsaturated fats on the inside of them. So because of that, you don't really have to worry about going out and eating them. So if you eat something like peanut butter, if you've ever opened up peanut butter, you might notice whenever you open up the top of the lid, if it's been sitting in the cabinet for a while, it has what looks like water is sitting on the top. That's the oil of the peanut butter that is separated from the rest of the mixture. Now it's okay, you just get a knife and remix it back up and it's all fine. But that's one of the reasons why you don't have to go out and eat unsaturated fat or oil on purpose, because you already have it in a lot of your foods. So if you're eating a healthy food diet, like if you're eating peanut butter, not only are you getting protein, but you're also getting your fat with it. So you don't have to go out and eat your fat on purpose. So that's how come your book is pointing out that this one is the better one for you though, but since it's in other foods already, you don't have to eat it on purpose. If you have a saturated fat, this is one where all the hydrogens are full on it as much as it can. This one is not good for you. So this one, now again, if you eat it in small amounts, you'll be okay. This is one reason why you don't want to eat fast food or junk food, because it has a lot of saturated fat on the inside. Saturated fats are typically solid at room temperature. So if you've ever seen a slice of bacon, that you've noticed, okay, bacon has some white kind of sections of bacon, that's animal fat. Now, animal fat is saturated to where it has all the hydrogen as much as possible hooked onto it. That's why it's a solid at room temperature. Your mom might cook with Crisco. She might have a jar that whenever she opens it up, it looks like white paste on the inside, and she might cook with that, and that's okay. So that's saturated fat. It's a solid at room temperature, and so because of that, you can't eat a whole lot of it because your body can't break it down very well, and because of that, it can build up and lead to health problems. You also might have seen it on different types of food like roast beef. If you see it looks like this whitish kind of clear fat in roast beef or maybe in steak, that's an example of fat as well. But that's like on most people that cut it off because they don't want to eat it. Not only does it taste a little bit different sometimes, some people they don't like the taste. Me personally, I don't like the taste of fat, so I typically cut it off. So, but some people, they like it because it does give it flavor, which you can, but at the same time, you gotta be careful, because too much of it isn't good for you. So again, Crisco or lard is another name for animal fat that your mom might cook with. So this is saturated fat that comes from animal fat, and this one is not good for you. Now again, eat a little bit of it, you'll be okay, you're not gonna die from it, but it's something to where it can build up in your bloodstream. Your book points out in large amounts it increases in the amount of cholesterol in your body. Your grandparents, you might have heard them talk about cholesterol and watching their cholesterol levels. That's because too much cholesterol can block your arteries and veins. So make a note that cholesterol is a lipid, but not a fat. So make a note it's a different type. So it is a lipid, but it's not like a regular fat. It can accumulate or plug up your arteries and veins. Now remember, your arteries are the tubes that your blood is flowing through. So if those tubes get blocked up or plugged up with cholesterol, they can't pump as well. So that's part of the reason why your grandparents typically are more concerned with it. So some cholesterol is good for you though, so your body needs some. Your body actually makes some cholesterol. But if you're eating a lot of fatty foods or foods that aren't good for you, that it can build too much in your body, and now you have a problem because it can lead to cardiovascular problems or cardiovascular diseases like having your arteries blocked or having possibly a heart attack or cardiac arrest. So it can lead to high blood pressure. So that's probably the reason why you don't want to eat this type all the time. So again, I know they're good. I know if you're looking at this picture going, these are some of my favorite foods. I know, these are very good tasting foods. But you gotta be careful and you can't eat them too much because it could cause health problems because it doesn't have the right type of fat or doesn't have the right type of fat or it's a type of fat. So saturated versus unsaturated doesn't have the right type. So it has saturated fat. So you want to eat unsaturated. So just be careful and make good life decisions as you get older. Alright, the last one your book talks about is trans fat. Alright, to make a note though, I kind of skipped over unsaturated fats. I kind of went a little bit out of order. So make a note though of unsaturated fats. If you didn't mark in your book already, go back. Oops. Alright, so unsaturated fat, these are vegetable oils or oils. Remember, these are fat that are liquid at room temperature. Sources of unsaturated fats include nuts, peanut butter, seeds, wheat germs. Those are all examples of unsaturated fats. I kind of went out of order by accident, so make a note for that. So unsaturated fats, these are typically oil or it's liquid at room temperature. And you can get those in peanut butter, seeds, wheat germ, soft margarine, things like that as well. Let's see. Alright, back to trans fat. This is the last type of one. Now this is a group of unsaturated fat, but they're typically not found in nature because they're made a different way. They're artificially produced in the production of partially hydrogenated vegetable oil. So these are trans fats because they're made in a laboratory. We don't find these out in nature very much, hardly at all. And so because of that, scientists have taken hydrogen and have put some of them onto unsaturated fat. So they're a combination of saturated, unsaturated fat, and because of how they're made, your body has a really hard time breaking these down. Because they're made in a laboratory, they're made different, and so your body can't really break them down very well. Your body has a really hard time with it. You want to avoid these at all costs. As much as you can, you don't want to eat them because your body has a really hard time. You used to find them in a lot of processed food, not as much today in the United States because people know that your body's has such a hard time with these. They're not put into many fast food or processed foods as much or hardly at all anymore. But it's something to be aware of. So you want to avoid these as much as you can. So trans fats are ones common in processed foods like snack foods, baked goods, fast foods, creamer, margarine, but due to health risk, you don't really find them in America anymore. But just check the labels on the side. It'll tell you how much trans fat is on the inside of it. Typically now, it's 0. So it used to be a problem. So like this picture shows, toxic trans fat in processed foods. Most of the times today, most of these foods don't have it anymore. Just make sure you check because you want to make sure, okay, I don't want trans fat. Now remember, a little bit is okay, but your body has a really hard time. So if you find a food that has trans fat, you don't want to eat it because your body has a really hard time breaking it down. One of my favorite granola bars when I was growing up, it was one that had peanut butter and it had chocolate on the outside. It was like a candy bar, but it was a good granola bar and my family loved them. Well, one day my mom realized, oh, there's trans fat on the inside. So we couldn't eat them anymore after that. Now though, I found them again last year, and now they make them to where they don't have trans fat anymore. So again, just because a product used to have trans fat doesn't mean they have it anymore. Most foods and most processed foods have gotten rid of it, so there's no more trans fat. This is something to be aware of, just something just to check as you get older. So that way you make sure that you're making good, healthy choices. Alright. The next section is talking more about your essential nutrients, your nutrients that you need in a small amount. Okay, I think my mouse is done. Oh, there it goes. So, vitamins. These are nutrients other than carbohydrates, proteins, and fats that come from living things. So, vitamins, these are certain types of small molecules that you need from a living thing, but you don't need it in large enough amounts like a carbohydrate or like a protein or like a fat molecule. You'll need it, but in a smaller amount. So, your book points out foods that contain vitamins you eat every single day. This is why your mom or your dad makes you eat your fruits and vegetables, because your fruits and vegetables have a lot of vitamins, and you need them. Now, you don't need a bunch of them, but you do need them every single day. They help out with a lot of good things. Alright, I know this slide is probably too small for you to read on the video, so because of that, you want to look on your page, on page 119, and mark them as we go through them. So I'm going to leave this slide here, and just make a note that you want to look on your book on page 119 so that way you can follow along, because I know you probably can't read the words. It's probably too small on your screen. So just be careful as we're going through that. Alright, so there's several different vitamins that you need to know. The first one is vitamin A. Vitamin A is associated with good eyesight, but it's also good for normal growth and healthy skin. Now, just because you eat a lot of vitamin A doesn't mean you're going to get like super eyesight. Typically say vitamin A helps your eyes, or it helps your eyes to see a little bit better in the dark. But it doesn't mean if you just eat vitamin A, you're going to be able to see in the dark all the time. That's not what that means. Or if you think, oh, I have glasses. So if I eat vitamin C, I won't have to eat vitamin A, I won't have to wear glasses anymore. Nope, that's not how that works. So vitamin A helps out your eyesight, but it can't magically fix your eyes, and it can't magically give you supervision. But you do need it, and it does help out with your eyesight. So even if you think, well, I have to wear glasses, yeah, that's okay. But you still need vitamin A to help out your eyes. So where do we get vitamin A from? There's one vegetable we kind of associate with this, but there's a lot of different sources. The main vegetable you might associate with it is carrots, but there's other things as well. So make a note that vitamin A, we get it from whole milk, cheese, egg yolks, liver, dark green vegetables. Carrots, sweet potatoes, and cantaloupes. We associate carrots with particular vitamin A. Just take a note that you can get it from other things as well. Now, you'll notice things like whole milk, cheese, and egg yolks, that you also get other nutrients from those, like protein or fat. And so because of that, you want to make sure whenever you're choosing your lunch or a snack, that you're choosing a food that has a lot of nutrients that you need, not just one or two, and that you're making a good choice. Make sure, okay, what type of fat does it have, and then also does it have a lot of the nutrients that I need, or is it only giving me a little bit of nutrients? So you want to make some good choices. Alright, vitamin C is the next one. This one helps maintain your connective tissue, but we associate it with your immune system. With all the colds and flus going around right now, your mom might be giving you a lot more vitamin C, just to hopefully it helps build up your immune system. And that's the reason why. It also helps to develop strong bones and teeth, and helps prevent fatigue and allergies. So we associate vitamin C with the immune system, but it does do a lot of other things as well. Where do we mainly get vitamin C from? You probably said oranges or orange juice or citrus fruits like lemons. So again, those are good examples of it. So you can get it from other things though as well. So lemons, oranges, strawberries, tomatoes, broccoli, spinach, all of these are good sources of vitamin C. Now we typically associate it with oranges, but you can get it from other places as well. Alright, there are 8 B complex vitamins. Your book points out that they're given a B letter and then a number. They're also given a name as well. You don't have to know the names for them. But the B complex vitamins, these help change food and food and energy. They are important for your metabolism. Remember, what's metabolism? Right, this is the sum of all your body's chemical activity. So for your body to function properly, it has to have these B complex vitamins. So it helps out with the maintenance of teeth, gums, and blood vessels, and for the development of the red blood cells. So your book points out it's known by number, and at least is known by the letter B and a number, but also has a common name. You don't have to note them, your book's just pointing them out. So where do we get vitamin B from? You might not know these all as well at the top of your head, so if you don't, it's okay. Right, so liver, whole wheat bread, brown rice, milk, meat, most vegetables, and so because of that, you want to eat them every single day, because not only do they have protein or carbohydrates or fat that you need, they also have these vitamins as well. Alright, it looks like I'm just about out of time, so because of that, I'm going to go ahead and stop there because I gave you classwork, so that way you're not working too much over in this class, even though this class hopefully is your favorite class. Alright, let's give you your homework for it. Alright, your homework for tonight is to read pages 120 through 124. So page 120 to page 124. You're going to answer on page 125. You're going to answer question 9, 10, and thought provoker 1 and 2. So on page 125, 9, 10, and thought provoker 1 and 2. So all of it again, read pages 120 through 124. Answer on page 125, questions 9, 10, and thought provoker 1 and 2. Hope you have a great day.